So we were working in the slave labor camp.
For how long?
I was working there for close to year and a half, over a year and a half, when the war started between Germany and the Soviet Union, and any citizens of Czechoslovakia were released into freedom to join Czechoslovakian army units in the Soviet Union, which was organized by the Czechoslovakian government, which was in London at that time.
So they wanted them to fight the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
So the government was in London.
Government was in London, and they made a deal with the Soviet Union, the Czechoslovakian citizens.
Wait a minute, slow down. Was in London. Hang on, I'm almost there. They were in London, and the Soviets made a deal with Czechoslovakian citizens?
Yes. To form an expedition army in the Soviet Union to fight the Germans.
Expedition army. Okay.
Actually, that saved my life, because I would have died there from starvation, and it saves life of many others who were released from different slave labor camps, some as far as Siberia and Vorkuta, Vorkuta. There was another center where a lot of prisoners died in the coal mines, digging coal under terrible conditions in the terrible cold temperatures in Siberia and northern parts of Russia.
So there was Czechoslovaks from all those camps that were released.
Yeah.
But your friend Julius, he didn't make it. Julius Sifra, he passed away in the camp.
He didn't make it. He got some kind of dysentery, and collapsed and died. And many others perished.
Mm-hmm.
There were millions and millions of people in those slave labor camps.
Were they all Slovaks, or did you have, like, were you
No,
in contact with other...
There were a lot of Polacks, Ukrainians, and other nationalities, and Czechs and Slovaks, and there were also, later we saw some from Kazakhstan and other nationalities around Russia, because apparently for any excuse people were enslaved, imprisoned just because Stalin and the atheistic Soviet government needed slaves. That's how it appeared.
Mm-hmm.
And so completely innocent people were perishing.
You were completely innocent. You and Julius, you're just...
Yeah,
you didn't
perishing in the slave labor camp. So I was lucky I survived with few others. Later, many of our people were killed at the front line.
Okay, well, let's go into that. You say you were. So they said we're going to make an expedition army. Then what happened? They started to train you. What did they do?
Okay.
Where did you go? Where did you go when they said, okay, we're going to make an expedition army? Where did they send you?
When I was released with few others, the Czechs and Slovaks, we got some papers. Our pictures were taken in the KGB office in the nearest district city. From there we went by train.
Where was that city? Do you remember what that city was? Nearest district?
The district city.
Where you had your
If
picture
you
taken?
wait a second, I have it.
Sure.
In the,
Hit pause.
excuse me. The nearest district city was Plesetsk. Plesetsk. That's a little south, or maybe a couple hundred kilometers from Arkhangelsk. That was the area where
The gulag you were in.
I'm looking at the Soviet Union map here. Later I will show you the
Okay, so you have your picture taken, then where did you go from Plesetsk? Where did they send you from there?
From Plesetsk.
Here, sit down, talk to me.
Plesetsk we were transported under the guard to Buzuluk city.
Okay, hang on.
Buzuluk.
Buzuluk.
Buzuluk, that's in the district of big city of Kuybyshev.
Okay, how do you spell that?
Kuybyshev. Kuybyshev.
And that's in the district of the Kuybyshev city.
Yeah.
And
in Buzuluk, in the city of Buzuluk, we joined the formation. There was a military unit formed, made out of Czechoslovakian citizens that were citizens of the Czechs, the Slovaks, and the section of Ukraine, which at that time was part of Czechoslovakia.
really?
Yeah, the Ukrainian section of it was called Podkarpatska Ukraina, which means Under-Carpathian Ukraine.
Okay.
What a strip. So these three.
How do you say that? How do you spell that? So anyway, all those people got together. Do you need help with anything? Are you okay? Or all those people got together and who trained you? Who trained you?
Well, we were trained by former Czechoslovakian military officers who survived on the territory of the Soviet Union. And our officers there then were instructed by the Soviet officers. So we were kind of indirectly trained by the Soviet army officers, but directly by our own.
But they took orders from the Soviets, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you said you ate better, they fed you better?
Well, yeah, we had a better food in the army. And by the way, we were wearing British military uniforms. Not Soviet or Czechoslovakian, but British. With a strange kind of... Well, anyway, that's another thing.
No, tell me about it. Tell me. Strange discount.
Well, anyway, the helmet was kind of silly, sitting on top of the head instead of not much protection.
Yeah.
And the jackets were made. You had to button them to your pants. They were short. And any time you done some work, you had to bend down. You ripped It was, in a way, kind of not very practical military uniform.
Yeah.
But that's what we were wearing. And after the training, we were sent to the front line.
Now, as you were sent to the front line, you said that they gave you vodka with your rations. What was your normal rations? What would you normally eat?
Well, from Buzuluk we were transported by train, and we got our military rations.
What would that be?
Each got little bottle of vodka, with the rations, and it was mostly canned foodstuffs. Most of the food was same, basically, as the Soviet army had.
What kind of food was it? Do you remember?
So it was a better food, nothing to brag about, but
Yeah.
it was better than the starving condition in the slave labor camp.
Did you have bread at all? You said you had the black bread.
Yeah, black, like a heavy rye bread. And once in a blue moon, we got a shipment from England of pieces of chocolate or some candy or few things, extra things, which we just were enthusiastic about. Because for some people for years didn't taste something like that, you know. So
You were sent by train to the front lines. Where was that? Where were the front lines at?
the front line, we were taken by train to the area, Ukrainian area, in the area of the city of Kharkov. Big Ukrainian city.
You okay? Is it on? Okay. So you were by the front lines of Kharkov.
Yeah. There we were few days. We were assigned defensive position in front of the city of, in front of the village. It was an agricultural village of Sokolovo.
Okay.
Sokolovo. Sokolovo.
Are you getting this, Kara?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
For a few days we were digging trenches and improvising bunkers. I was a corporal, I had 6 men with me and a heavy machine gun.
Digging trenches and improvising bunkers, okay.
This heavy machine gun we set inside under a improvised bunker under a barn, under an old barn, facing south. From where we approached, we expected the Germans had lots of tanks in that area, we knew that. Unfortunately, our detachment didn't have any anti-tank weapons. We only had machine guns, and so we were actually helpless against the tanks, which after these few days, we were digging trenches, improvising bunkers as our defensive line formed, and after that,
Was the village abandoned? Pretty much, the village was abandoned, or were there people in the village?
well, it was very much abandoned.
Yeah.
There were few people still were sticking to their houses, but not many.
Okay.
And so one day, many German tanks, what I heard, there were about 80 of them in that area, but about a dozen of them attacked our wing. And actually they didn't come from the south, they came from the west, over the village of Sokolovo, attacked us from the side, and our unit was destroyed, just about. Very much destroyed. We didn't have the proper defenses.
You say a phosphorus tank came and stuck there. You said
We were in the bunker, and during the fighting, and eventually they had a flame-throwing tanks. So one of these tanks came, they suspect that some people the trench was leading into the bunker under the barn. Germans were suspecting there would be some people there, some soldiers. So they blasted the flame-throwing. It's like
Phosphorus.
like a tar, like
It's phosphorus.
a liquid tar. It has a very high temperature. They blasted it into the bunker through the trench, and everything. We started suffocating there. We had to jump out, put your hands up, and just pray to God that you will survive. You know. And we fell prisoner of war there.
Now you say one of your guys said he was going to try to escape, and you told him don't
There's
do
a
it.
friend of mine.
What was his name? Do you remember?
Joseph Jančuška, which is J-A. Tried to escape, but that was completely hopeless. But anyway, he tried, and he was cut down with a German machine gun.
And you saw him later.
We saw him right in front of our eyes being killed and laying in pool of blood, and nobody could do anything to help him. And several of us survived and were taken prisoners. And
now you said at one point in the battle you told the men, guys, do what you want to do.
yeah, just before this fire blasting tank came, I said, friends, I said, situation looks hopeless. I have no more to tell you except try to save yourself if you can, because I had no intention to sacrifice my life to fight for the terrible atheistic communist government which destroyed millions of innocent people. So I just was looking to survive. I said the same. I advise you. You do whatever you like. It's the military instruction here is finished. You know.